We're having such a great time here in the sanctuary that it's hard to settle down sometimes. So let us begin. Welcome to Unity on the North Shore Sunday service. If you're joining virtually on Zoom or later, if you're watching us, our live stream through other social media, we're just glad that you've joined us here today. I'm your worship assistant, Alyssa Foster, and today our speaker is Reverend Kurt Condra. Our chaplain is Priscilla Florence. Our soloist is Cal Youngelson, and our pianist is Danny Bauer. So we've got the team. It's awesome. Yay. Thank you so much. So let us settle in peace and begin with our opening prayer so that we can invite presence into our hearts. Holy presence, we know that in God we can never be separate from love, from truth, from infinite intelligence and the source of all good. We gather here in this sacred time, and wherever you are, listening, being here, listening to these words, you are creating that sacred time for yourself in your space. To open our hearts and minds to the one power and the one presence, we gratefully receive the energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us. Divine light and love. And we affirm that we are here this morning for a divine purpose. And we trust that that purpose is now being fulfilled. We are here, and so that purpose is now being fulfilled. For we know that we are now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. And now we'll welcome Cal and Danny for our opening song.
So for a little bit of drama on our Sunday morning, why not have some Andrew Lloyd Webber? Love changes everything, hands and faces, earth and sky. Love changes everything, how you live and how you die. Love can make the summer fly, lifetime. Love, love changes everything, and now I tremble at your name. Love changes everything. Days of longer. Speak. Love changes everything. It's deeper. Love will turn your world around, and that world will last forever. Yes, love changes everything, brings you glory, brings you shame. Nothing in this world will ever be the same. Off into this world we go, planning futures, shaping dreams. Love burst in, and suddenly all our wisdom disappears. Love makes fools of everyone. All the rules we made are broken. Love changes everything. Live or perish in its flame. Love will never ever be the same.
I need a moment to recover, but I don't have a moment to recover. Oh, I've got to love a bit of Broadway anthem to start the... And about love, I mean, my goodness, how wonderful. And that paradox, you know, it's absolutely gorgeous. All right, so let's turn our attention to talking about unity. Unity, as a reminder, is a positive, practical approach to spiritual living based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe that there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition, and we honor the many paths to the one God. Wherever you are on your journey of faith, we are glad that you've found yourself here, and you're always welcome to worship with us here at Unity. So our particular purpose here at Unity on the North Shore is to create a safe space where people are empowered to take risks and to live their deepest truth. I suspect that my deepest truth has something to do with love, because I'm still all stirred up. So if this is your first Sunday with us, we extend a loving welcome to you. And just to let you know that if it is your first Sunday and you're feeling a little bit surprised to feel this resonance with the things that happen here, you're not alone. Many of us felt that way. We were surprised when we went, wow, there are other people, whole communities that believe the things that I believe and that want to worship the way that I want to worship. And so we hope that your experience here is like that, and that you'll see that as a sign that it's time to kind of return and find your community here with us. So welcome. I'd like to invite everyone to stand now and join us in singing our group song.
is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love, God, is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace, God, is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. One more time. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love, God, is all that you are.
Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Danny. Where else can you go and get a little bit of Broadway, a little bit of jazz, and then church thrown in? It's beautiful. It makes a beautiful Sunday. I am Priscilla Florence, your chaplain today. I am available to pray with you afterwards in the back. And make sure you leave your prayers, if you can't stay, in the basket in the back. It is a privilege to pray. I'm reading the daily word today titled Healing. And it comes from John, 1st chapter, 4th verse. In him was life, and the life was the light of all people. When I am experiencing a healing need, I focus my thoughts beyond illness and discomfort. Even as I seek treatment for the injury or illness, I see myself whole. I remember that I am created in the image according to the likeness of God. I know my life is God's life living as me. Divine life fills every cell, strengthens every muscle, bone, and organ, and quickens every nerve in my body. It restores perfect order to all my body's functions, releasing and replacing anything unlike itself. When someone asks me to pray with them, I do not ask about their symptoms or circumstances. I affirm the healing activity of divine life in each one with whom I pray. I see them as the spiritual beings they are, whole and well. Again, in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And our saying today is, divine life lives as me. I am whole and I am well. Gotta leave these on. As we continue to focus on prayer, if you're comfortable, relax and close your eyes. Focus on your God-given breath and take a gentle, deep breath in. And as we release it, we relax and let go. We still our minds and open our hearts, peacefully resting in the presence of Divine Spirit. Spirit is here now, present and around us, and around our loved ones right here, now and always. So let us rest in the prayer, praying for ourselves and for others, for the world, for the universe, from which we came. We also hold in prayer all who are suffering. We affirm the presence of God's love in every person, in every human condition. And so it is. Amen.
One of my favorite parts of what you just said is giving love to ourselves and beaming love out to the world. So important. So this song is about that, and we'll need your help in the choruses if you're up for it. You'll know it. We'll sing it a couple times, and then we can share it. There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place could be much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. If you want to know why, there's a love that cannot die. Love is strong, it only cares for joyful giving. If we try, we shall see. In this bliss we cannot feel fear or dread. We stop existing and start living. Then it feels that always love's enough for us growing. Make a better world, to make a better world. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. And the dream we are Our spirits never die. In my heart, I feel you are all my brothers. Create a world with no fear. Together we'll cry happy tears. See the nations turn their swords into plowshares. We could really get there if you cared enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place. Here we go. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Just voices. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Beautiful. Thank you.
You two are amazing. We are so blessed to have you as our music team. And can we turn that off? I would like to be up here this morning, if that's all right. Thank you. And y'all are fierce. I even heard harmony going on out there. You did a nice job. So I'm continuing a series that I began a couple of weeks ago on a book called Fierce Love. That's where we get the fierce stuff. And I think that song speaks beautifully to it. And I think if we're going to heal the world, that's what it's going to take, a fierce kind of love. It's written by Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, and her sort of subtitle about it is A Bold Path to Ferocious Courage and Rule-Breaking Kindness That Can Heal the World. Originally, I was thinking this was going to be a 3-week series. So the week 1, we talked about what fierce love looks like when it's sort of directed inward, how we can fully kind of embrace all of who we are, the foibles and the triumphs and the weaknesses and the strengths and the regrets and the joys, all of that. We had some strategies for about how to really embody that so that we can fiercely love ourselves. And then week 2 was about, okay, now that we know what that's like, how is it that we can extend that same kind of fierce love, that unconditional way of accepting to those in our posse, our families, our co-workers, those who might be within our sphere of influence. That's what I was going to. And then today was all about doing the world. We're going to talk about, but there's some depth to this, and I kind of decided I want to keep going. So we're going to keep going for this and maybe a couple of weeks. I haven't quite decided yet, but today what we're going to be looking at is exactly what they just sang about, how it is that we can sort of embody this fierceness of loving in a way that can begin to transform and heal the planet and the world around us. Yeah? Does that sound like a good direction to be going? I know it sounds grandiose. At least that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, okay, fierce love, and yeah, I can bring a power of love that is so great that it's going to heal the world. I know that sounds like it's really daunting, and yet there's a context in which we can really, I think, begin to claim it in a way that feels realistic, that feels like, yes, we really do indeed have that level of power. Our love can begin to transform and heal in ways that we can only begin to imagine. So this is a quote from Alice Walker out of the book. Jackie quotes Alice Walker. She says, "Helped are those who find the courage to do at least one small thing each day to help the existence of another. Plant, animal, river, or human being. They shall be joined by a multitude of the timid. A movement to build a more just society begins with the little steps taken by good people every day." Does that make it seem a little more plausible? Like it doesn't seem quite so arrogant that we're going to be the ones out healing the world, but as we do our part, as we really begin to dive into the ways in which we can bring that kind of fierce love to our everyday experiences, that it does have an impact. And it is, in fact, I think the only way that true change begins to happen. It happens sort of one heart at a time, one mind at a time. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And it starts by, I think, really being able to see clearly the ways in which there is brokenness, either in our own hearts or in the world, or the places where there just isn't wholeness. I heard this scripture. It's out of Luke chapter 13. You may know it. It's the story of Jesus when he heals a crippled woman. It says, "Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over and quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, 'Woman, you are set free from your ailment.' When he said this, he laid hands on her, and she immediately stood up straight." So did you notice, what's the first thing that happened here that moved into the healing? Nope, before the hands. Before the hands. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said. So it's in the seeing her situation, in the seeing her condition. I love this, and I'm stealing a little bit of this theology from one of my favorite ministers these days, Nadia Bolz-Weber. She did an interpretation on this in a blog this week. And what she sort of brings to mind, she is absolutely brilliant at seeing, so often in the Bible we read about these healings of these people, and there's one brief line, but there is a whole life behind that line. And Nadia Bolz-Weber has a beautiful capacity to come at that from an empathetic place, right? So what she's imagining is we don't know why this woman was bent over for 18 years, but we can begin to kind of imagine what her life must have been like, all bent over for those 18 years. Whether it was just the burdens of life that had just drawn her down and had her facing the ground, whether it was a medical condition, whether it was some injury, we don't really know. But what we do know is that through those 18 years, moving through life like this, I sprained my ankle yesterday, and so I've been walking around on a cane, and you really feel kind of conspicuous, and like you have to explain things, and it's unpleasant, it's uncomfortable. But imagine 18 years where how dismissed she must have felt, how invisible she must have felt in the world. I thought the same thing. I was driving home from Lincolnwood. I went to Mariano's for groceries and came up, what is that road that's so busy? Starts with an M. Darn it. McCormick, yeah. Coming on McCormick. Those of you who know the area, right? So McCormick's a pretty busy street, right? Lots of traffic going each way, extra turn lanes, and came up to the intersection at Main, and there's this woman walking between the lanes of traffic, right? And she's got a big sign that says she's got fibromyalgia. She's walking down, and what I noticed is that most of the people she was completely invisible to most of those drivers, walking down the middle of the street. And what I've noticed is that anytime I encounter that, there's always a little bit of a gripping in my heart. And usually I just sort of push it down or let it go, and sometimes I give money, or sometimes I'll at least, acknowledge. But mostly I'm just kind of want to get on with my trip. And so this time I thought, okay, I want to see what's happening here. And it starts with seeing what's going on in my own heart. So when the gripping heart happens, if I could sit with that, because it's not a comfortable place to be. Most of us skip right over that, right? When the gripping happens, what I first notice is I've got all these judgments about, is this woman crazy? What is she doing taking these kind of, is she stupid? That's the narrative that's going on. And if I sit with that a little bit longer, what I can kind of get to is what if she's just that desperate? That this is survival for her. And then I can begin to have a little more empathy, right? Because then it's not just about my judgment. It's sort of oh, okay, if this is survival, then what's going on underneath that for me? Oh, if it could happen to her, that could be me. And then there's all the rationale. Oh no, I've made good life choices. Oh no, I've done all the right stuff. Oh no, I'm taking care, and all of the ways in which we start to be dismissive of another's experience or Again, putting the judgment of the weight of our judgments on somebody else's condition, right? And if I sit with that long enough, then what I can kind of come to is what we've been talking about throughout this whole book. Like, it's sort of the Ubuntu. Like, no, not only could that be me, that is me. At some level, as long as she is suffering, I'm suffering. I'm sitting in my car going through these gymnastics to try and ignore what's going on. And yet, what we read about in Jesus' interaction is that the first piece of healing is seeing clearly, right? Now, I wish I could say that I had some dramatic action that I might have taken and walked away and that this woman's life was transformed and changed, but we know that's not generally how it works. Jesus could certainly accomplish that, but that's not generally how it works. But I think if we are courageous enough and resilient enough to stick with what that feeling is, that we can begin to take from that experience something that will help to change our hearts moving forward, right? I've now had a conversation with a whole congregation that next time you drive through a line of traffic and see somebody coming through at you with a sign, you might have a different reaction. You might be a little bit more patient or understanding or find a level of empathy. And we can begin to start conversations where our hearts open. It might change how we vote. It might change our willingness to buy a Streetwise when we're coming out of Trader Joe's. It might change the way I show up when I see someone suffering and in need by being present enough to the pain in the first place. Starts by seeing what's really there. So let's see. I've already shared this. When I got back, I was all excited about it when I first got back from sabbatical. So I shared this example a couple of weeks ago, but I want to repeat it because I've had some new insights around the situation. So I was on sabbatical and went to South Dakota, and on the way back I stopped at a small little town called Chamberlain in South Dakota. It's right on the Mississippi River. And there was this amazing, they had a couple of signs for a Lakota museum. And so I stopped in to see the museum. I'd just been, heard all about sort of some of the history that happened with indigenous people around the Grand Canyon, but just had a curiosity about it. And so I stopped in, and one of the featured exhibits was this amazing exhibition that described an 8-day experience or an 8-day exchange between Lakota tribe leaders and Lewis and Clark and whoever the explorers were that were on this expedition, right? So the exhibit was essentially day by day what happened in each of those days. And it started out, they did some trading, and then it escalated as they were trying to navigate like who was going to be allowed to do what on this property, and well, not property because the Lakota wouldn't think of it that way, but you get what I'm saying, right? That there's a day-by-day chronology of how that happened. And it was told from two perspectives. So the first perspective was all drawn out of the reports and the journal entries that the explorers had kept, right? There are records of this. There's written records of it. And so that's kind of how that part of it was laid out. The Lakota part of it, though, there was no written record. It's all passed on by oral tradition. So it's all told by artifacts and art and imagery. And I found in myself that I was really frustrated by that because I was trying to line up what the settler or the explorer stuff was. I'm trying to line up, okay, well, how is that related to this? And were those two, was that really the same actual experience? Was that the same? I'm like trying to make sense of it in this way that I realize is totally grounded in my whiteness, right? In white supremacy. Because I've been educated in a way that I read from left to right. When I'm looking at chronologies, there's a certain particular order that it goes through. And the Lakota experience didn't trace that. So what I'm beginning to recognize is that it doesn't matter if you're black or white or brown, that most of us in this country have been educated under those same institutions and organizations that have that as a cornerstone, that have whiteness as a cornerstone. And most of the time, we're totally oblivious to how it blinds us to other ways of seeing. There is so much that happens, especially spiritually, but intuitively and emotionally, that is every bit as valuable to being able to discern how we navigate the world to be ferociously loving. That happens at levels that just aren't going to be described in the sort of textbook style that we have mostly been educated about. So that's another space where I really think it's important for us to begin to recognize and be really, really, really diligent about how it is that we're seeing the world, and really, really, really open and receptive to other ways of experiencing it, especially if it's described by somebody else. So out of that openness, here's what I think gets in the way of that. Two things. One is fear, which I kind of already described, like fear that I might be the homeless person begging in the middle of the street, right? Those kinds of fears. And then that usually triggers either fight or flight, right? We're either going to ignore her and move on, or get the heck out of there as quickly as I can. Or in other cases, if I'm really feeling defensive, I'll fight back and try and defend my position or whatever it is. But fight or flight. So that's one way, that's one element that gets in the way, one behavior that gets in the way. The other one, and I think we in Unity tend to be kind of prone to this, is that we are kind of dismissive of it, right? Like, how many of you, as you move through your spiritual journey, have been coached or taught that, just take what you like and leave the rest? If there's something you don't agree with or doesn't really, take what you like and leave the rest. Which is fine, and I think it's good advice to an extent. But if that's all we're ever doing is staying in our own comfort zone, if we're not willing to hang out at that place where the anxiety starts to arise or the fear starts to be felt, if we're not willing to be there for a little bit, if we just dismiss it. Emily Cady, even in her seminal teaching, what is it? Lessons in Truth, right? Right in the introduction, Lessons in Truth, she says it this way. If there is anything as we proceed which you do not understand or agree with, just let it lie passively in mind, right? Passively in mind isn't fierce. Passively in mind isn't necessarily loving. So I know, and I don't want to make that as sort of a blanket statement, because there are times in which if there's something that we're not getting, given enough time and enough experience, there will be a sort of another level or awareness of seeing that. But I think if that's our first response, rather than being more present to what is and being willing to check out and discover whether or not some of those blinders that we have from other experiences, from societal structures, if we're not really willing to let that arise, then we're really not allowing ourselves to move into a space where we can even begin to demonstrate the fierce lovingness that we need to. Yeah, does that make sense? So what I want to suggest, I know what I want to do now. So I want to share another quote. This is another sort of call to action. And this one is from Jackie herself. She says, you have the power to be an agent of change in your everyday living. You can influence your posse to also be the change you seek. And ultimately, together in community, small steps can lead to morally courageous behavior that loves the world all the way to healing. So I want to talk a little bit about what those small steps might look like, and even give you a couple examples, maybe even a homework assignment or two. One of the things I was talking recently about. I've lived in Chicago now 13 years, or Evanston, Chicago, 13 years. And someone just introduced me to a really amazing documentary by, his name is Jeffrey Bear. You probably all know him. He's a PBS guy, WTTW, and he has all these ways of seeing Chicago. He has one that's all about the L. It's a 2-hour show, and I started watching it. And they start up at Linden on the Red Line and go down through, and they ride all the L trains. And throughout those L trains, you get sort of the history of neighborhoods, the culture of the different places. Like, that would be a beautiful homework assignment to begin to explore our own city and our own culture and open ourselves to experiences or to neighborhoods that maybe we haven't seen before. Maybe we're a little reluctant to go explore. But as we can sort of really allow ourselves to start to get out of the boxes and the silos that have become so much a part of our daily experiences. So that's one. WTDW has it on. It's Jeffrey Bear, Chicago by L, I think it was what the name of it is. What's another one? Another easy one. So I was driving up McCormick on that same day, and I had a new restaurant that's a Yemeni restaurant. I had no idea there was, Yemeni food. There are ways in which we can begin to expand our adventurous nature and start trying different restaurants or different cultural experiences than maybe we have before, rather than just going back to the same old places that are our favorites, right? We are so blessed to have so many cultures so close to us. That Yemeni place is like 3 miles from here. I didn't get the name of it. I think it says Yemeni restaurant. That might have been the name of it. Google it. But yeah, so that's another way. So begin to when you're about, see, everything we do has a choice behind it. And sometimes we aren't even aware that we're making that choice until we start to recognize that, oh, there's a different way that I could begin to start to enjoy cultures and cultures from around the world, and they're right here in our backyard here in Evanston. Okay, so I have one more, and this one really is a homework assignment. Most of you know that I serve or have been serving on the board of Evanston Pride. It's a fairly new organization, a couple of years old, and they've got just an amazing, it's a very young organization, and they've got some really great events that help to do just this, like help to bring different cultures and different communities together in ways where we can experience one another at a deeper level and maybe learn about each other and really appreciate and bring that fierce kind of love. And one of those is coming up this Thursday. It's called Fiesta Hispanica. And I asked one of my fellow board members to describe that for us. And what I want you to do is sit still, because there's going to be two versions, one in English and one in Spanish. And even though she's kind of describing the same thing, one of the ways that we start to break down the walls that keep us from seeing other different is to sort of be available to different sounds, different languages, different cultures. And so I really just invite you to enjoy like Patty's energy as we listen to her inviting us to Fiesta Hispanica this Thursday. Can we put a mic in front of the computer speaker or something? Oh, I should have been able to grab that one. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, she did. The reason we're doing this is we recognize that there are 2 months of celebration sort of right up against each other. LGBTQ history is September, and in October starts Hispanic Heritage Month. And so they kind of overlap and bump against each other, and it's really a beautiful kind of festival and party that happens at Fountain Square Thursday from 5 to 8. You got that part? Fountain Square Thursday 5 to 8. And there's a all women mariachi band that is absolutely fabulous. They're amazing. There's a piñata. And I'd never seen. I knew piñatas, and but oh my gosh, I didn't realize that how much logistical support happened. So that there was a dad there who was making sure that it was fair, no matter how big or small the kids were. Like they can raise and lower the piñata, so the little kids get a chance. And yeah, there's just a beautiful level of expression inclusion. So I invite you to expand into a fiercely loving kind of consciousness and join Evanston Pride's Fiesta Hispanica Thursday at Fountain Square. Yeah. So yeah, I'm so sorry you didn't get to hear Patty. We'll have her, if you go, she'll do it again. We'll have her do it at Thursday Go, and I'll introduce you, and you can listen to Patty speak it again in Spanish. So with that, what I'd like to do is prepare for a time of meditation that we might open our hearts and begin to maybe sort of let Spirit reveal how it is that we can step into that space of being fiercely loving in a way that really helps to transform and heal the world.
You are deepest joy, deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy, deepest joy is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are.
So as we move more deeply into this time of contemplation and reflection, I invite you to just tune into what your current experience is right here and right now. Just notice what sounds are around you, or the ones that you notice, the ones that come to mind. If your eyes are closed, just begin to notice your physical experience. Is there anywhere within your body that you're feeling tension or tightness? Are there other spaces that are relaxed and feeling at ease? If you deepen your breath, can you maybe create an even deeper sense of relaxation? Bring some ease and grace to any place where there's tension. And just be present to Spirit. In this receptive mode, I invite you to set an intention, a willingness to let Spirit reveal how you can show up in just small, everyday experiences that opens your heart to new ways of seeing, that brings with it a resilience to be present even in places that you might be feeling discomfort or anxiety. An intention to let Spirit reveal a deeper truth, a deeper way in which you are connected to all of life. A deeper recognition and awareness that indeed you are sacred love, sacred peace. You are a blessing that can bring forth a fierce kind of love that heals not only your hearts, that creates a space for those, your posse, those around you who are touched by your energies, for them to feel that sense of grace and love, to heal whatever might be broken. Until that step by step, this is an energy that coalesces, it grows and magnifies. And indeed becomes the basis out of which we can heal the world. You have within you all that's needed to be a fierce, loving warrior, an agent for bringing about change and peace where there is darkness or dissension. sacred love. Affirm that to yourself for just a moment in silence. As we gently return our attention now to this time and this space, I invite you to affirm aloud with me, I am sacred love. Together, I am sacred love. I am a fierce agent for change. Together, I am a fierce agent for change. Through my love, the world heals. Together. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see clouds and skies of blue and clouds of white. The dark, blessed day and the dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll know much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
How marvelous. Now is the time for us to turn this spirit of expansiveness towards our love offering. And I'd like to ask Kathy Mathis, one of our Board of Trustees members, to come up and...
Oh my goodness, wow. See, I'm with Alyssa. Wow, wow, wow. So anyway, I am Kathy Mathis. I am the board treasurer. I am so honored and grateful to be here and to be able to serve with you and for you. So today we wanted to highlight where we are in our financial situation year to date and what we're hoping to do year to go. So as you can see, that big red number over in the right, year to date our giving is down about $16,000 versus our budget. You can see the budget's around $150,000 because year to date we've gotten 134. So we are asking that as you come and join this community, we want you to be involved, body, mind, and spirit, and our money is just a part of that giving. And we've all done things in the world, given to things in the world that makes us feel so good, you know, and being part of this community is a way to feel good and to grow your own spiritual presence and to help the world, because we do tithe. 10% of everything we give goes out to help the world. So we are asking that people do jump in and give. A couple of other updates we want to mention. As part of our plan this year, after Kurt came back from sabbatical, it was our plan to eliminate our office assistant position. And so Bernadette is no longer working with us, and we have been grateful for her help while she was here, and certainly wish her the best as she goes on her way. So we have eliminated that position per our plan. And then the other thing that I just want to mention, because I've had a few questions about, we talk about giving through Amazon, using our link to make your purchases through Amazon. And so last month we had about $20 that we did get from Amazon. So, and we think it's only a few people actually who are doing it so far, but it doesn't cost you anything. It's just an extra little gift that comes back to us from Amazon. So we invite you to get that link. It comes out in the weekly e-blast, or if you need it, otherwise you can. You could ask me, you can send a note to Jasmine, whatever works. But please join in to get some bounty from Amazon. So thank you all, and thank you all for being part of this spiritual community.
And I am so grateful for Kathy and her stewardship of our funds. It's something that I would find very difficult, but she makes it easy to understand. Thank you so much. So just in terms of giving to the church, there is definitely Amazon, but there are other ways to give as well. You can text, and the details are on the screen. You can use the donate button that is still on the UNS website, or you can just send checks through the mail, and the address is on the screen, 3434 Central Street in Evanston. And for those of you who are here in the room, we can receive your cash or checks in the bowl on the table near the doors as you leave. And then now it's time to bless our giving and our receiving. And if you're not actually giving in this exact moment, you could just set your intention to give. And we will speak aloud our offertory blessing. With joy and gratitude we affirm, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. And now we have our offertory song.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
And we are, aren't we? We're so blessed to be here, to be whole and connected through the Spirit today. Now it's time for our announcements. Before I do that, I do want to make sure we thank our musicians. Yay, Cal and Danny. Thank our live stream team. Wow. They are quiet achievers. We Australians like the quiet achiever, and that's definitely what they do. And for everybody, your presence has blessed us today. So, a couple of exciting announcements. First of all, if you're resonating with this talk about fierce love, and it's wonderful that Reverend Kurt is considering expanding it for Sunday, but also there's a 6-week class that's going to be offered based on this book, Fierce Love. So based on Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis's manifesto for mending our inextricable human connection. And gosh, we need that back again, don't we? This class involves facing and embracing the urgent need for deep social change. And so, by sharing deeply of our personal stories, we'll get clearer and more intentional about how we show up for ourselves, our posse, and the world. We'll also practice applying Lewis's 9 tenets for loving fiercely with ferocious courage and rule-breaking kindness that can heal the world. Wow, I love that. Loving fiercely, ferocious courage, and rule-breaking kindness. So what are the details? All right, the class will begin on October 10th, and it runs on Tuesday evenings here in person at UNS from 6:30 to 8:30. And the registration is at unityns.org, our main website. You'll be able to find the link to register. So if you think you want to do that, please sort of jump in and register so that Reverend Kirk can know who to expect and to get that organised. Also, the Grateful Voices Choir is meeting every Monday evening for practice and rehearsal, and all are welcome to join. No audition, no pressure. We just ask that you can carry a tune. Interesting note. So previous experience in a choir is preferable, but not necessary. So they also meet here every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. And let me just say that being part of a choir can be one of the most spiritually uplifting things that you can do. I'm a big believer in singing together as a way to be together. Also, today is your last chance to purchase tickets for the Vision Keepers Dinner. It's an annual fundraiser for Interfaith Action of Evanston. And Interfaith Action does amazing things. They feed and house the hungry and homeless in Evanston, and that is so important. And they are also our tithing partner for 2023. We started this a couple of years ago, I think, where we decided rather than sort of tithing in little bits, we would intentionally give to one group that was doing good in our community, and that is Interfaith Action. So we have pledged $5,000 to them this year, and we have nominated our member Vivian Morrison as our 2023 Vision Keeper. And she will be honoured at the dinner. So the dinner takes place on Sunday, October 8th, and the tickets are $80 per person. And Joyce Davidson is our connection to purchase a ticket to that dinner. And that is it for the announcements. Please stand, and we will sing the peace song, and then followed by the prayer for protection.
Family, all are we.
Let us have our prayer for protection, looking at the words on the screen. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God holds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. And may you have a divine day. Bye.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Annie. Where's the baby?
Oh dear, he's on the couch.
Of
You're right.
course.
He really is a baby. He's on the
Oh,
couch taking a nap,
I love it.
and he's a handful.
Is he? Oh my.
Yeah, he's a beautiful dog. He's very smart, and he trains very easily.
Oh, is that nice? Why
Yeah,
don't you have him whisper in Kona's ear? Train it easy.
yeah, he's awesome. He's an awesome dog.
Oh, that's so good.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, Yvonne. Yvonne, you're muted.
Fortunately, I wasn't speaking, but thanks
Oh,
for the
oh.
reminder. I said, hey, that's about it.
Well, I thought the service was really nice. I'm glad to see Reverend Kirk back, and I hope he had a good sabbatical.
Yes, yes. No,
Does anyone know how the sale of the building is going?
I was hoping they would talk about that today. I don't know.
Oh, I don't either.
What a shame. It's a shame. Because
Yeah,
we get out of that building. It's just we don't have the money to handle it.
yeah, yeah, and I didn't expect us to continue to be there this long.
Yeah. Wow.
The last update, I don't remember all the details, but the last update they gave, as I recall, seemed to be that things were, in all respects, and they were aggressively looking for new space and wrapping up those things that weren't going well in terms of the condo co-op, adjoining co-op. They were resolving that. So it seemed pretty upbeat last time. I don't think anything has changed. It just, this is the time it's taking. I'm sorry. I think my internet is unstable, but I bounced back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Well, I heard bits and pieces of you.
Yeah.
I understood the message, what you were saying.
Me too. Yeah. About Reverend Kurt today. I've had a work issue on my mind a lot. And, he just hit it on the nose with what he was saying. And I wrote down the first piece of healing is interaction. And I know that's what is missing between me and another person in the management group. And so I thought, I am just going to text her a note and say, can you make the time to talk with me? Because it's one of the things that she doesn't do. She says yes and then runs away. There's no connection. And I know she has funny feelings about me, and I don't trust her. I just don't. And so we have to get past this.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I will share with you. This is only chapter 1.
I have to share a story with you of something that happened to me. This actually, I hadn't forgotten about it, but you reminded me of it, Lorraine, and it's very recent. I have a very dear friend of mine. She's been in Al and I's life. She married us, and she's been in our life about 34, maybe 34 years. And she is our heart, and we're her heart, and we know that. She's one of those friends I could call any time of day or night about anything big or small. And she's right there for me. And she can do the same with me. And recently she ran into a struggle because she'd been taking care of her mother for years. And her mother passed. And she went to South Carolina to bury her mom, her and her daughter. And she did that and then came back to her daughters who lives in Washington, Maryland. And then her uncle, her mother's brother, passed. So she went back to down south to do his eulogy because the aunt had asked her if she would do it. And then she came back to her daughters because her daughter had been rushed to the hospital and she was really, really sick for months. And she was in the hospital for months and she left the hospital and went to rehab for months. And anyway, in the midst of all of this, I never told her about Al's surgery because I just didn't want to put on her mind. But she called me and she thought I had said, and I may have, I don't know. I don't remember it. But I said something to somebody and about how her daughter was doing and how she was doing. And I told her, such and such asked me about you. And I said, you were doing fine. And she was like, why would you say that? And I said, well, because you are, I think, doing well under the circumstances. She said, well, tell them they should call me themselves if they so worried. It was a big argument. I tried not to respond because I was, one, so shocked. Two, I was so hurt. And I'm guessing this happened about 6 months ago.
Oh.
And we had, after that conversation, I kept apologizing to her. So she called me a couple days later and she said she accepted my apology, but we would never be close again.
Oh.
I'm telling you, I was tore up. And my husband kept telling me, honey, don't worry about it, because one thing you do know is that you're praying about it and God will handle this for you. And he'll handle it for her. He says she's under a lot of pressure. And he reminded me of all the things she had just been through. And I said, but I want to be there with her. She's not alone. I love her and I always will. So we hadn't talked since that second phone call when she said, we'll never be close again, Papa. Yesterday, she called me. And I have thought about her so much and so many times. And I'd see things that reminded me of her. Oh my God, Al and I were so happy. I was telling her, bringing her up to speed, what was going on with me. And he was, oh, wait, let me tell her. And we were back and forth. I put her on speaker. We were back and forth, back and forth. I don't think she got 2 words in, but she did. I did remember her telling us, I said, we love you. And she said, always know, I love you all too. And that, oh my God, that I can't tell you. I just was so emotional, and I was so grateful to God for, we didn't even talk about whatever had happened. And I'm not saying she isn't right. Since I've had my brain surgeries, I say things that I don't remember. And some things I do. I'm not just all, gone, but it's hard to explain. Those and it's just hard to explain. So when I heard her voice, I seen her name. I was on the phone with my daughter, and I seen her name pop up, and I was like, Shereen, can I call you back? And I switched over to the other line, and I said, hello. And when she said Annie, I was, oh my God. And that's how she always, I told her all about Bubbles. She didn't know I had got a new dog. I told her, I had never told her about Al's surgery. I told her all about that. And then there was a couple of people in Evanston she and Al knew, and they talked about that. I don't know if we even gave her a chance to talk because Al and I was so busy telling her our stuff. But that really made my day. I can't even describe how I felt or how I feel now.
Mhm.
But
You're doing a good job. You are doing a good job of letting us know we're getting it.
She's one of those people to us. And before we hung up, I told her, I love you. And she said, I love you all too. Know that. Know that.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we're having some internet problems. Maybe on just my end, but I think we got your whole story. I apologize that a friend who has been part of this whirlwind that I've had for the month of September invited me to yet another thing this afternoon. It's sort of like, first of all, I want to comment about your story, which I apologize. I felt it, but I didn't hear the whole thing because
Yes.
you called
Yeah.
and interrupted. But I got it. I got it.
Yes, I
And
know you do.
I absolutely got it. And that's how things happen. And the fact that she didn't even get a word in it. Do you know what it probably took for her to call? And that was probably a relief.
I thanked her so much
just
for calling me. I thanked her a million. I was like, thank you for calling. But
and you took all the pressure off of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. And I don't know what I'm going to say and all that stuff, because she felt your heart.
That's what I wanted her to know. I love her. I will always love her. Al and I will always love her. She wasn't mad with Al, it was me, but she is so important and so special to us. And she said, okay, we'll talk soon. That's how she always ended our conversations. And she said,
yeah. And sometimes you never know, like she could have gone in a whole nother direction for that call,
yeah.
And it could have been totally different. And that's with the thing coming up with Lorraine, that's what you should keep in mind. But you don't know what has, she may have something altogether in her mind that is like a complete thing you could straighten out and pave the way.
Yeah.
Or she could tell you her perspective on something like, really? Is that what you thought? So just take a deep breath, ask her, let's talk about this. I'd like, and you might have an amazing experience,
I immediately,
or at least an enlightening one.
Yeah, I immediately thought of that story, Lorraine, when you were telling me about, your coworker. You're muted, honey.
Yeah, the whole system shut down and then you all came back, and when I came back, it remuted me, so.
Yeah, no, I muted it because this one was barking at
Hey,
me.
Kona, how you doing, baby?
Well, I think he's doing like your baby, being spoiled.
But
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to share that with you all. Then
Yes,
Lorraine,
me
you
too.
made me think of it.
Well, I know that there are different perspectives going on. And as long as we keep those perspectives, we won't have a relationship. But if we can share, then
Mhm.
I think we have a real possibility of working very well together. And that's what I would like. You know,
Mhm.
I'm
You're
not
probably both wonderful people, so it'd be nice to have that, like,
Mhm.
connection.
have the connection. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Keep us posted,
I
both
will
of you.
post it.
Yes, please do, Lorraine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just unbelievable.
That is wonderful. I'm so glad for you, Annie.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, you are. Uh,
Just the sound of her voice when she said Annie. Oh,
yeah.
Like music.
Yeah.
God is amazing. He is
Mhm.
amazing. I
Yeah.
thought about her so many times, wanted to call her, but I knew or I felt she was just so mad at me. I didn't want to aggravate that.
Mhm.
So I'm glad I have you all to share that with
Oh,
me.
fantastic.
Yes.
We're glad too.
I love it after church chat because we talk about things that we just don't talk about to everybody.
Church.
Mhm.
And I wanted to share something else with you guys. Last weekend, I was in a 3-day class, I guess, course, whatever you call them. And it was with the lady that I told you about, Colette Barron Reed. And she reads oracle cards. However, those 3 days, she was addicted to drugs, to alcohol.
Oh, wow.
She has been clean for 37 years.
Wow.
Yes, Unity Church was instrumental in her getting clean. She even thought about studying to be a minister with Unity. She brings unity into all of her work. And one of the things that I have been asking for was to get a greater experience of God. You know, so many times I just thought, where is he? Or her, or whatever. What is this? I cannot tell you how many times during these 3 days, Colette kept saying, remember, you are never alone. I don't care what you call it. If you call it God, if you call it the universe, if whatever, you are never alone. You are always working with the universe. He's there by your side. And I got it. And what a blessing. What a blessing. I mean, her work is very powerful. And I will tell
Yeah.
you, your oracle cards, whatever the deck you use, it's never a mistake what you turn over. And this whole past week, I've been getting a card that says, it's complete, like time is up. And that may well be my work at the Sheridan. It may be. I don't know what's next. I hope something's next because I like being busy and I like contributing. But we'll see. We shall see. And this morning I got the number 1 card, and it is Yang, Yang. And the quick overview says, the masculine principle of movement and creative action, the power to make things happen, taking action. And, you know, in the middle of service today, I thought, send Cheryl a text, ask to connect,
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
take
Wow.
action. So it's like there are no mistakes. There are just never any mistakes.
Mhm. I want to bring up another non-mistake today
Okay.
from the service, and that was the daily word today, healing.
Mm,
Okay,
Mm,
I'm just saying, across the board.
mhm.
And the spokesperson for the daily word, Priscilla, was like absolutely perfect for that. I mean,
Yeah.
she just radiates. And that really is the principle, like what the prayer chaplains do, you know, holding
Mhm.
a true watch regardless of the circumstances. And it was perfect timing for me today because I had a terribly bad cold. I think maybe I didn't have a voice or something last week. There was some sign of it. I was kind of better. The cold was going away. And it triggered some other stuff where I'm just not feeling well. And I'm never not feeling well. And so to hear, you know, even when I'm sick, I'm still feeling well. I'm still feeling upbeat. So to have today's daily word be, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yourself as you really are. And so that was I wanted, since we've all talked about health issues that are going on and that we're connected with, I would like you to reread that today or listen to it again or whatever you have to do, because there's
Okay.
some like deep nuggets in that. And the other thing is he was, oh, I forgot what my other point was, but I can go back to my original point, which was today is going to be a full circle moment for me in terms, that's why I'm fighting on and I'm going to this event that she was inviting me to. She had no idea, but she invited me to go to the a library where I had applied to be the business manager when I graduated from Cleveland State, you know, and and I had three choices: work for Social Security, work for the East Cleveland Library, that was the job as a business manager, or work for Sears as a retail manager trainee. And I picked Social Security because they told me the East Cleveland Public Library, you would get a raise one day when they voted in a levy.
oh, geez.
And I mentally heard, and pigs fly. That's when and that was the lowest pay offer. Sears was the best. And but I didn't want that because it would involve like possible relocation later and possible this and
Oh.
possible that. But guess what? That's all I did after I started with Social Security. That's how I got to Chicago. That's
Oh,
how I got to
wow.
Maryland. That's how I got to Michigan. And, you know, and that management job that I did was management jobs with Social Security. So anyway, so that's I'm literally the venue for that. This concert is going to be that East Cleveland Library where I would have been. And the person that is not presenting, the concert singer, jazz singer extraordinaire, is a person that graduated from my high school. And she and I are on the Gallery of Excellence wall together, you know, not just me and her, but, you know, other people from that graduated years and years ago from the high school. So I'm seeing her from the Gallery of Excellence, and she's on there for her singing and jazz performing. She's, I don't know, and I've never heard her play. People have invited me, but I was always out of town or I never got to go. And I'm back. Oh, I know exactly what the thing I had forgotten. Remember when Reverend Kurt talked about getting on that special thing that Jeff somebody taking the not the rabbit, the L's and getting into different neighborhoods and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing today. That's what I want. That's the tie-in. I'm doing that. I'm going back to this old neighborhood. It's kind of the scary neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm embracing that. I have been away from Cleveland most of my adult life, and I don't know anything about it anymore, including the fact that this library where I applied to work is a huge venue for performances and theaters, and now this concert. So it's going to be a full circle moment, and I'm doing what Reverend Kurt said by just going. I'm going
Yeah.
into the neighborhood and see what's going on. Expand my
You
horizons.
have yourself a wonderful
I
time.
will. I know. And we're at time for you.
Yeah.
I've realized.
Thank
So
you
I
guys.
talked fast in the last moment because.
Well, I took up most of the time I could.
Oh, no.
Lorraine.
And you know what? If I had never gotten to say this, it would have been fine because today was great. But I want you to know that I'm on my way to do that. I also wanted to ask you about, did you get the video that I sent you?
Yes, I got to.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Were you able to play it or open it?
Yes, but I had to walk away from it because of Bubble. I was doing something with Bubbles.
Okay. Well,
but it stopped right after where I left off at. So when I go back, I'll just.
I forgot to tell you that the storyteller person that was on before me, Lorraine, we're talking about a unexpected radio appearance that I answered the phone. I thought it was somebody wishing me happy birthday and everything. Yeah, and it turned out to be a FM radio host calling. Somebody had told him I was a health coach, and he wanted to talk to me about it. So I ended up being on the phone with him for 45 minutes.
Wow.
But it was after this other 15-minute thing. So you've got 45 minutes of hearing me.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to have to leave. I
know,
got a
me
phone
too.
call reminder. So have a wonderful week, ladies, and we'll check in next week.
Okay.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Yvonne. Thanks, Lorraine.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. Hugs to you. Best wishes. Bye-bye.